Since it took, what, 6 years to make this fucking game, I figured I would make it wait during the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series. But the one thing that never waits is me telling the YouTube auditor to go fuck himself. You know, this is something I don't understand. The general logic is the more time you have to develop a game, the better the quality is going to be, right? I mean, it's a pretty standard thought that if you give a developer 1 year to make a game from scratch, compared to 2 years, that 2-year cycle is going to be a better draw for the gamers and the developer. So when a game is in development for 5 years, you would think there's going to be some amazing shit, right? Right? I mean, apparently, what does 5 years get you? The same shit as all the prior games that we've seen. Now, I said this in a prior video, and I believe this was a question and answer session, but Gran Turismo is really a victim of its own success. You know, there's no way to really express the challenges a game like this has. Without question, on a PlayStation console, this is the most realistic driving simulator game. You know, Forza will probably be the Xbox version of that. But for PlayStation, Gran Turismo has the closest to realistic driving you can possibly get. Everything from the detail of the cars, to the sound of how accurate each car is with its real-life counterpart. I mean, they really go all out to make sure those sounds are incredible and shit like that. To the handling of the cars, the fine-tuning that you could do to improve your cars. Unquestionably, on the track, this game is unbeatable. There is no realistic game on PlayStation 3 that can compete with Gran Turismo. Need for Speed and Burnout go for the arcade style, but Gran Turismo has always been a realistic simulator. So the driving itself, the cars, the controls are absolutely spot on. The challenge this game faces is what do you do to improve on in the next game to make it feel different than its predecessor. If your gameplay is already at the peak of the genre, if the racing is already the epitome of excellence, what are you going to do to make Gran Turismo 5 feel different than all the prior games? This is where the game falls short for me on almost every single facet. Just look at the number of things you can improve on in the series. Graphics, always a key when you move from one game to another. The graphics are unquestionably better than Gran Turismo 4. There's no disputing that, undeniably. However, Gran Turismo 5 rolled out premium versus standard cars. Premium cars had more details given to them, while the standard cars obviously have less details. Why? Their reasoning was time and money. But let's be honest, the game was in development for 5 fucking years. I mean, did they really not think people wouldn't complain about the graphical differences for a game that's been in development for 5 fucking years? Really? You know, I don't mind using a standard car because performance isn't the issue of the game. But when you have a beautifully modeled premium car that has PlayStation 3 era details, and then you give us standard level cars that have PlayStation 2 level details, people are not going to be happy. And for some reason, the developers are sitting here all fucking shocked. Well, I don't get it. We gave you standard cars. No, motherfucker, you gave us PlayStation 2 cars after 5 fucking years. That's why people were pissed off. Now, besides the cars, what else you got to offer? How about racetracks? We have a number of the real-life racetracks that are out there, and it's great to have them in the game. Don't get me wrong. I also love the fact that they put their own created tracks in the game that aren't the real-life tracks. However, why are we racing the same created tracks over and over and over again? No, seriously. I've been on High Speed Ring forever. Forest Run, Trial Mountain, Autumn Ring. Yes, people like the old tracks, but it's okay to give them up every now and then, motherfucker. It's okay to add more custom tracks. Even roll out DLC of re-envisioned tracks of those older tracks or whatever the fuck it is. But for whatever reason, they hold on to all of these old tracks as if it's like some collector's edition or something. Look, make some new tracks. Get rid of some of the old tracks so it doesn't feel like you're basically rehashing the same game every fucking time out. Now, also another thing, the menus of this game are just awful. I mean, abysmally awful. On top of not knowing where shit is and having to use that cursor type pointer up in this motherfucker, the shit was a mess. You know, people just want to race, and having to find that shit is like trying to find a pack of Twinkies at a fat kid's camp. You know, then you have the issue of having to go to your garage and choose the right car with racing restrictions and all that bullshit. Oh, man. I don't know what the fuck went wrong with the menu, but everything that people have railed you against on these menus is 100% accurate. These menus are fucking awful. Between not knowing where shit is and having to use this cursor-style PC shit that people don't use on a normal controller, this has to be, by far, the most annoying part of actually playing Gran Turismo 5. It has nothing to do with the racing, it has to do with how you get to the fucking racing. Now, as for the races themselves and the content, I love the amount of content the game has, from the test track, to the custom races, to the event races, and the licensing being made optional this time around. There's no question the peripheral races, in addition to the regular Gran Turismo events, were awesome. You get no complaints from me regarding the additional content because it was fantastic, but when it comes to the race schedule and the race events, that shit irks the fuck out of me. You know, besides the fact that we're still racing the Sunday Cup or the American Cup or the Muscle Car Group Cup, the events past 5 fucking games, the leveling up system with these races is fucking horrendous. You know, fine, I have to do the Sunday Cup again after all these years. I have to be restricted in the Muscle Car Group. Fine, which I'll talk about after this. However, once I finish a good portion of these races, I might not be ranked high enough to take on the next set of races. I might have to do the Winter Cup 3 times just to rank up to go to the next one. I might have to stay in the Germany Cup 4 times to level up before moving to the motherfucker Cup. In all honesty, what's the fucking purpose of the ranking up system? You know, the race is already somewhat restricted. You need a Lamborghini to race in the Lamborghini Cup. Fine, I just have to save up and buy it or earn it in a race. But if I have a Lamborghini, why do I have to wait until level 15 or 20 or 25 just to enter that fucking race? Just let me fucking race it. And that leads me to my very next point. We have over 1,000 cars in the game, or at least close to 1,000 cars, whatever the fuck it is. And over the years, we've had shitloads of cars in the game, and the overwhelming majority will never be driven or owned in the game. So how come the races you have restrict us to these most ridiculous rides you can possibly imagine? Why do I need to race a pickup truck? I mean, no, really. Why the fuck am I racing around a pickup truck or a goddamn Fiat or a fucking hatchback car? Why do I need to buy a fucking dune buggy or something for just one fucking race? It is brain fuckingly stupid to do this. 1,000 cars, yet at no point could a Hennessy Venom be used or something because it doesn't qualify in about 99.9% of these fucking races. These decisions that were made in regards to racing have been around for years with Gran Turismo. The stupidity of race design has been awful for years and gives a player no incentive or reason to buy another car. It's fucking absurd. And speaking of stupidity, how come after 5 fucking years, the AI still breaks 20 feet too early around turns? No, really. The computer starts braking at least 10 feet away from where the apex is on a turn, and they're always completely oblivious to human cars. You know, I don't mind that the computer is letting me win and all, but at some point you have to realize the AI is just outright fucking atrocious on turns. I mean, I'll take a free lead any day or a free win anytime when you offer it, but at least give me a visual fucking challenge, man. These goddamn computers are terrible at driving. Terrible. Not even at the hardest levels do they actually increase in intelligence. They basically stay stupid the entire fucking game. Now, the final thing to talk about is the online portion of the game. It's something I could probably talk about for a while, but I do have a time limit on how much I plan on talking about this shit. Private matches were fucking awesome. There's no doubt about that. You get a shitload of people in a room just racing them and fucking around with cars. It was absolutely great. Particularly the kart racing. Oh man, the fun alone we had from kart racing was fucking amazing. You know, we could spend hours alone just doing kart races and beating the shit out of each other. So that's something that definitely worked for me when we had this game. But the online portion of the game against other people started out a hot mess. I mean, trying to find a room or whatever the fuck it was irrevocably fucked up. Eventually they fixed it, but even then, the issue you always have with racing games is what happens when one person races better than anyone else. Every now and then you get someone that is an extraordinary racer compared to everyone else, and the competition from the start is over. There's just no way you're gonna catch that guy. With the catch-up feature, now they're restricted, so this is always like a catch-22. A simulator should be realistic, but if one person is so much better than everyone else that he's basically lapping them, then it's not too much fun online. They never took into account people's ability, and you either got into rooms with straight up racers who would kick your ass, or you had to use the catch-up feature in which skill was mitigated. It just seems like you're always damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you're a great racer, you're always gonna have people keeping up with you. If you're a shitty racer, you're always gonna be kept in these races because even though that one person can get out in front, it's always gonna allow you for the most part to catch up to him. It made no goddamn sense. Look, it's not that online was bad, it's that it needed help. It needed a lot more love to make it feel like it was complete and a fair online portion. To me, racing online was always pointless, and the only reason I would race online would be the private matches against friends where you could do crazy things and shit like that. The fact that they just had no structure to the online portion shows when they developed this game, they really had no clue what they needed to do to make a fair and just online racing portion of the game. Besides being a giant clusterfuck when the game started, it never really improved to the point that it made people want to continue to play this shit online. Now, because of all this, because of all the mistakes Gran Turismo 5 made, I didn't get Gran Turismo 6. I downloaded the demo for Gran Turismo 6 and will say that the racing felt as great as it always has. Again, there has never been a problem with their racing. Their gameplay on the track is always top notch. The problem is everything off the track. That's always been the issue. The menus were still shitty. The AI was still stupid. Although they did fix a number of things wrong with the game, but overall, it's still a victim of its own success. The racing will always be top-notch in this game, but the additional features of this game are where they need massive improvements. We know Gran Turismo 7 will eventually come to PlayStation 4. I mean, it's all but guaranteed they're going to continue that motherfucker infinitely. But the game needs a serious kick in the ass. Maybe after a long time away from the series, maybe it finally releases the next version, you know, 9 fucking years from now. And depending on what's out at that same time, I might buy it. But I mean, let's be honest, the game needs to be rehauled. It needs everything redone top to bottom. What they put on the track, 100% fine. Everything off the track desperately needs work. And hopefully, when Gran Turismo 7 comes out, they realize that everything that they did wrong in this game has to do with the racing off the track. When they fix that portion of the game, this is going to return to its absolute glory as the one premier racing game on PlayStation consoles. But anyways, as you can see, we are kicking off Racing Week, and this is the one and only Gran Turismo game that I have on my PlayStation 3. Next up this week, 4 racing games. The majority of you guys have seen on my channel plenty of times. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.